Bill Ashton from The Honest Company. First, some supporters to thank, and thank you for listening. This episode is supported by CCW Digital, leaders responsible for operations, information technology, contact centers, customer care, service, and support are invited to register for a free CCW Digital membership. Membership includes networking with 100,000 plus qualified industry professionals, quarterly executive research reports, product matchmaking, and more. Go to ccwdigital.com to join the community. This episode is also supported by the CCW Conference and Expo. The event will empower you to test, learn, and try the next big thing in customer experience optimization. Are you interested in mining data across touchpoints for personalized and predictive data? Are you trying to integrate your systems to get a more complete view of the customer? Are you figuring out what innovations to invest in? Chatbots, virtual assistants, AI, VR, biometrics, to name a few? Go to callcenterweek.com to register. Bill Ashton joins us and lets us know that Jessica Alba, in fact, does come into the office every day. He explains that she is the why person. He, on the other hand, is the how person. The Honest Company had been growing quickly in e-commerce, getting the brand into Target after 3 years. About 6 months later, Bill joined the team. He truly learned logistics in the military. He then worked for Federated in the heyday of department stores, eventually moving to Ralph Lauren and experiencing the growth of that brand over the course of the ensuing 15 years. He takes us through how Ralph Lauren, the person, actually executed on the vision of producing timeless quality while delivering on premium customer service. After stops at Restoration Hardware and Bare Essentials, Bill continues to do just that at The Honest Company. Welcome to CCW Digital on B2B IQ. I'm your host, Seth Adler. Download episodes on ccwdigital.com or through our app in iTunes, within the iTunes podcast app, in Google Play, or wherever you currently get your podcasts.
So, I mean, how is she to work for, right? That's got to be the first question.
Well, I think the big surprise with Jessica is the fact that she's in her office every day. She comes to work.
She does?
She's not just the celebrity spokesperson for The Honest Company. She comes to the office. She's in her meetings all day long.
She's working,
making decisions. She's our why person.
What does that mean?
Well, she's tells us why we're there, why we do what we do. I tend to be the how person.
Sure.
I can get stuff done, but I look for someone the visionary to provide the direction and tell us why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And,
so she
does that.
We've all kind of read up on the company, I'm sure. What is the why that she gives? In other words, what's the mission, and how does it stay relevant every day?
Well, she had 2 young daughters. Like 4 and 2. Mm-hmm. And just tons of problems with skin rashes. They were in diapers at some point. And she said, I'm on a mission to create some products that are just safe for families. And, that's what she wanted to do. That was the why, mm-hmm. to create products that families are safe for families. Mm-hmm. And she did a great job with that. And as soon as, she started with diapers and wipes, and, they're organic, they're made the right way. There's no artificial ingredients or bleaching or anything else that goes on. So next thing you know, our customers were starting to sing praises of Honest diapers. The, kids had rashes, and all of a sudden the rashes started going away. And it was, so it just fed on itself, and she expanded the line in other products, like shampoo and personal care, and then cleaning and baby formula, and on and on. But yeah, it's like she's all about, I want to create safe products to make families safe, and especially focused on kids. Mm-hmm. So it was it's a wonderful mission.
There you go.
Yeah,
sounds honest.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, very honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So where does how come in? How long was she going before she brought in Bill?
Well, it was about 3.5 years, and the company had really grown fast. And, of course, it started out as just direct e-commerce mm-hmm. only. Mm-hmm. And so about 3 years in, they decided to start expanding into retail. So the first retail expansion was in Target. And, of course, that's a big step.
That's a big first step, certainly.
It's a big first step. And retail can be pretty complicated. It's not nearly as, well, e-commerce is not necessarily easy, but it's a lot easier than retail in many respects. So
well, there are rule sets that are both spoken and unspoken in retail.
Exactly. Well, a lot of it tends to be pretty traditional. You know, it's not like the digital world in many cases with some of the old time retailers. So, but she came to a point where she realized, hey, we need some experience, because it was a millennial crowd. You know, it was probably the oldest person in the company was maybe 30, young 30s. You know, so anyway, she reached a point where it said, hey, I think we need to bring on some experience. And of course, I've been doing this, in fact, way too long. But so anyway, we connected, and so I joined the company a couple years ago. And
how did you connect? How did that how did that machination?
Well, she and our CFO knew a former CEO that I'd worked with. And I was living in LA at the time, and they reached out to him and said, hey, we're looking for someone with experience in CPG that's done this and knows operations. So he said, hey, talk to Ashton. So one thing led to another.
And here we are.
Here.
All right. So then now let's go back. Where are you from?
Well, I'm a Midwest guy, so I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Which, being in logistics and being from Columbus is a good thing, because that's, it's one of our major distribution hubs in the country. But
were your folks in logistics or in moving product of any kind?
Well, I guess my dad was in logistics. He was a cattle farmer, so I guess in
Kinda.
many respects.
He's at the beginning of the supply chain, right?
There you go. Yeah. I grew up on a cattle farm in Ohio, and after college, I went off to the military for a number of years, and that's kind of where I started in logistics.
I need to interrupt you to thank you for your service.
Oh, well, yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Did you go anywhere that we might have heard of, or?
No, actually, I lived kind of a blessed life. I became a Marine helicopter pilot, so I spent 6 years, enjoying that endeavor. But I was in between wars, so it
okay,
was, it was
that's what we're asking.
Yeah, a good thing for me. So yeah,
a Marine helicopter. Those are the big ones, right?
Well, I was flying one of the smaller ones. It was like an attack helicopter, but it was fun, very exciting. It's kind of like driving the Corvette, so it was fun.
Did you ever see the show Airwolf?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it was similar to that kind of thing.
There you
not
go.
As a little more realistic than that, but it's yeah.
All right. So military. How did you find your way into the military? Why did we discover that?
I was a science major. I had an undergraduate in biochemistry, and I was getting close to graduation time, and it's like, I don't think I want to be a biochemist. So I had some fraternity brothers who had joined the Marine Corps a couple years ago, and they came back and they were flying, Phantoms and fighters, and said, "Man, that sounds like neat stuff to do." So I signed up, and the day after I graduated college, I headed off to Quantico to start training, and spent 2 years going through all the training to become a naval aviator, and yeah, it was good.
All right, and then so you land the helicopter for the last time, and you're done with it.
Yes.
Was it just, okay, that was cool, but not anymore type of thing?
Well, actually, after I was on active duty for 6 years, then I actually stayed in the reserves for another 20 years.
You did? For 20 years?
Yeah, so I'm actually retired military, but during my 20 years, then I started my civilian career. And I got a little bit of logistics background while in the military, so it just made sense to go on with that in my civilian life.
You know the name Gus Pagonis? He was the head of logistics for Desert Storm,
and
went into Sears, and he was like a rock star for a long time. I'm sure many folks listening know the name. But where did you kind of land as far as logistics in your civilian career?
Well, I started out with Federated Department Stores.
Oh, sure. That's Ohio.
It's Ohio. It's, the Lazarus family started Federated, and I actually worked for Federated for about 4 or 5 years. It was a great training ground, great experience, and that was the heyday of department stores. That's back when department stores were king. And then I joined Ralph Lauren, and I was at Ralph Lauren for 15 years, and that was a wonderful period because I joined Ralph Lauren. It was very small, got to ride that, and it was about building supply chain solutions to support the business and opening distribution centers and setting up retail channels. So yeah, it was Yeah, that was a really enjoyable thing.
So I remember that company becoming huge. It was,
Yes.
a brand, and then it was a kind of a monster. My first question is, what was Ralph like to work for?
Well, it's funny. Ralph's not a big operations guy,
Right.
so I was in a few meetings with him, but yeah, he didn't come out and hang out with us operations guys at the distribution center. Yeah,
he's more brand, he's more design.
He's totally brand, and to him, it's lifestyle.
Right.
Everything was about a lifestyle, and I used to joke he would send out catalogs, and a lot of the products in his catalogs we didn't even sell.
Right.
It was about showing a lifestyle.
Right.
And people would ask, "Hey, I want to buy that," and say, "Well, we don't sell that.
We don't actually sell the canoe.
Yeah, right, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, but yeah, he was a master. I mean, started back in the 60s, and to this day, it's still a brand that's very strong. And we always said he wants to produce timeless quality, and that's really what he did.
As far as logistics, and building that distribution system in the warehouses and what have you, how much did that echo the brand, the mission, his vision, and how much of it was just, okay, we got to set up how?
It was very interesting. I mean, we operations people tend to focus on efficiency. It's kind of our left brain tells us that's what you got to do. Well, fortunately for me, I kind of grew up in the Ralph Lauren, and I learned that it's always about service first. I mean, he wanted to have an incredible customer service, a high service model. So we had to, we obviously needed to be efficient, but it was be as efficient as you can, yet still provide that premium level of service. And for a logistics guy, that was like kind of a wake-up call. It's kind of like, okay, that's a little contrary to shipping, jet engines between, different parts of the world. So yeah, it was a change for me, and of course I was there 15 years, so it really sunk in after that 15 years, and that was an important thing I needed to learn.
Yeah, either directly or indirectly, as far as that relationship with the customer, no matter who you are in the company, you have to have it.
Yes.
How did you kind of come away from that?
Oh yeah, no, it was really all about customer service. I mean, I would get calls from directly from customers. I got a call from a lady once. She was living in England, and she was planning to fly to Bermuda to get married, and she wanted a wedding gown. And we rushed. We got the wedding gown, and it had to be shipped to the right place to get her at the right time. And it was just the amount of work that we did to make sure that this woman got her wedding gown in Bermuda on the day that she was supposed to get married. I mean, nothing could go wrong there. It had, and it did. And then there was a time that President Ford, someone from his office called and said, we have a state dinner coming up, and we need this China set, and we need it here on this day. And it's like, you can't get that wrong.
Yeah.
So we got an army of people together. We packed it. We made sure it wouldn't break, and we made sure it got delivered at the right time at the right place. So. And of course, Oprah Winfrey, she needed furniture for one of her shows in Chicago. Like she needed it in 12 hours. So we'd scramble out and find ways to get it delivered at the right time. So it kind of like it taught me that there's a level of customer service that especially for a company, that the customer is so important.
And what I'm taking away from that, you mentioned Oprah and this, to me, random woman,
yes,
who is getting married. You mentioned them in the same breath as though they are as important as each other.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no question. Yeah, the fact I mentioned the woman. I to this day I knew her name at the time. I don't know her name, but just and she was so thankful when her dress actually showed up.
Sure.
That was the most important day of her life probably, and she desperately wanted this Ralph Lauren gown, and so there's stories like that really you experience a few of those, and it really kind of changes your mindset on. And again, I'm an efficiency guy. That's what I do. I build things, build solutions, but you got to really always have the customer in mind first and foremost.
And that's how brands have relationships with customers.
Totally,
right there.
Yep.
All right, so you were with Ralph for a while, right?
Yes, number of years, sure.
And then where did we go?
Then I went to Restoration Hardware.
Which is also, now, as far as luxury is concerned, as far as, I got to spend a coin or two if I go into Restoration Hardware, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I joined Restoration when it was tiny. We were literally all in one room there in Corte Madera, California, and with the founder and a few of us. But yeah, we launched it and grew the brand. I was there about 5 years, but went through the whole growth cycle, building supply chain solutions. But there again, it was like customer first. We do whatever it would take to get a piece of furniture delivered to a customer. It doesn't matter where you live. We got to figure out how to get it there, make sure it's right. We check in with them. You know, everything had to be flawless. I mean, it wasn't always flawless, but we had backup plans to
the
great
ends,
customer experience.
The ends clearly justifying the means. It does, just speaking of brand, I feel like as a consumer, Restoration Hardware got more and more luxury as we went. Is that true?
Oh, yes, that's interesting that you picked up on that, because a lot of people that know the brand, I mean, they had to have known it back then to know now is considerably different. Yeah, when Gary Friedman, who was the head of Pottery Barn, he came over to
that makes sense.
To Restoration Hardware, and he wanted to move the brand up a notch or two, and he knew it was a smaller demographic that we were targeting, but he's very successful at it. So yeah, I applaud him for he was a visionary, truly a visionary, and again, he was the why guy. He knew nothing about getting anything done, and he really didn't care that he knew how to get it done, because he hired people like me to get the work done.
That's it. That's essentially what the Banana Republic brand did as well. It started out as something and then became something very different.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So you've got this nice line of really visionary CEOs. Was there another one in between, or?
Well, and then the next one was Bare Essentials. You know, the women's Bare Minerals, the women's cosmetic line, and there our founder was Leslie Blodgett. And she was, another visionary, and it was all about connecting with women. You know, she called it the girlfriend approach. She wanted all the women in the world to be her best friend. And it was when social media was just becoming popular with brands. Right. Yeah, and she maximized the use of social media to spread the word. And she had just obsessed customers that, I would travel sometimes with her, and we'd go to an event, and there could be 800 women lined up outside just to see her, and some of them, when they saw her, they'd break down crying. It was, because her product was the first mineral makeup, and it was healthy for your skin. And there's so many women that have problem skin, and man, they used our product, and it's like, wow, they were just, it changed their lives. Yeah. And to hear those stories, you think, oh, wait a minute, it didn't change their life. But no, you listen to them, and it did change their lives.
There you go.
So yeah, I was there about 8 years. We were acquired by Shiseido, so the last few years I was part of the Shiseido team. But
which is a much bigger brand, right? And not based in the U.S.
Right.
And what was that like?
That was a culture change, beyond belief. Yeah, it was. In fact, it kind of hurt the brand in some respects, because Bare Essentials was always known for being very fast-moving, innovative. Boy, we were launching new products constantly, all the time. And Shiseido is a much more deliberate, slow-moving, decision by committee type of, and of course it's traditional Japanese culture and business style. So, yeah, it kind of slowed us down a lot, which hurt the brand a little bit.
Hurt the brand a little bit, but now fellow logisticians are hearing you and saying, okay, that's more like it, Bill. This I'm going to do anything I need to do to get the wedding dress wherever, right? And whatever's going to happen, I'm going to spend as much as possible to get the product from point A to point B.
Yes.
Not too realistic in the day to day.
Right.
How did you, kind of keep the how running at a regular pace while these, what I would imagine were every once in a while, we'll do this, we'll do X, we'll do Y, were happening? How did you have the systems in place that you could go ahead and go above and beyond?
Yeah, it was a real balancing act, and of course you have to always anticipate the future. And I think, we tend to be so left brain, we tend to be so rational thinkers that a lot of times it's like, no, you need to have more intuition. And I think in logistics and operations of any discipline within operations, there's a lot of intuition and emotion that comes to play with trying to make those decisions. And of course, wisdom, which comes with experience, certainly helps with that. But yeah, I always had to think way down the road, and I had to use intuition to kind of, okay, what do I need to build to catch them when they hit year 3, and a lot of it is guesswork. And I guess I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and so far I've always guessed right.
Yeah.
So it may not
Or
always
right
happen,
enough,
but
right?
Yeah, exactly, close
Right.
enough.
Right.
So I was always able to anticipate where the business was headed, what they would need, and then put in technology or an org. Having a facility in the right place at the right time, and of course it's all about deploying inventory, having the inventory in the right place at the right time, and of course, and you do have to be efficient. Your companies want to make money.
Right.
And supply chain that's one of the favorite areas for driving down costs. So
Absolutely.
we always had to drive down costs while still providing a world-class service.
So kind of every day and a special day type of thing, right?
Exactly.
Every day drive down costs, and then the special day spend
And
it.
you had to always be flexible. You got to maintain flexibility. It's if you're very structured and very rigid, you can really drive down cost. Everything is very predictable, happens exactly the way it's supposed to. But if you build in flexibility to provide special service at the right time and that sort of thing, then all of a sudden it's it gets maybe a little more expensive, but it's a trade-off, and it's a conscious trade-off to say we're going to provide that service even though it's a little more expensive because it's the right thing to do.
When we were talking before, you said, you just said that you've been doing it for 40 years, and I said to you, is it true or is it not true that in the last 3 years there's been more innovation than in the past, decades combined?
Yeah, it really is true, and it's increasing at a faster pace. It's interesting. Here I'm an old guy, and it's operations, logistics. We tended to always be the back end. We were the ones who, we weren't the very glamorous end of the business, but we had the front end, the sales, the marketing groups. They were always the one embracing change and technology, and we were always the ones in the back, kind of doing everything the old way.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. Here, not that long ago, it all started changing, and we started deploying new technology that really opened the door for giving us better visibility to inventory and our customer, and how do we get it there faster, and how do we, we have applications where we can track where our trucks are. It's just like Uber for transportation. It's so yeah, we've started deploying a lot of great technology, but it is coming faster and faster, and of course I work for a millennial company now with the Honest Company, so it's just I call them kids, but I'm kind of like their dad.
Right.
And but it's
You
important for
just are a different age. We can say that.
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, it's like I am their dad,
Right.
So it's but it's important for us old guys to be able to change. You can't keep doing it the same way. And of course, transportation was probably the last to change, because that was the good old boy network that had been in place forever, and it's changed now. Technology is driving our transportation business now, and I don't have a transportation department anymore. I've outsourced it to apps and to companies that we simply go online, and it's all arranged through through EDI transmissions between carriers and vendors. And so yeah, we have we're a pretty large company. We have 2 people in our transportation department.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
Heavy lifting with a click of a button, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta be there, because it's you gotta keep up.
So keeping up, I want to mention a company and just gauge your reaction and then hear it.
Okay.
Amazon.
Yeah. Everyone talks about Amazon. You can't meet.
But you're 40 years in. So
Yes.
now, you tell me from 40 years in,
Yes.
Amazon, right?
Oh yeah, no. In fact, when Amazon first started, it was like we were all paying attention, and we needed to learn from that. In fact, we're probably not too far off from selling to Amazon. So, you in today's world, you've got to jump on board. You can't be left behind, because it's coming.
Were you shocked at how quickly not only they were able to establish themselves, but then also increase the pace of change?
Yeah, in fact, Amazon can never happen again. That was a one-time shot. There will never be another Amazon. It's just the right time, the right place, and it just all came together. But yeah, no one could ever imagine how fast Amazon could change the industry. It's just, you go back 5-10 years, you could never imagine where we would be today with that. Yeah, it's remarkable.
Totally different.
Yes.
No one talked about them. Now everybody talks about them.
Everyone talks about them, and with me in logistics, it impacts us every way. Every time we're opening a new building, there's Amazon next door. They're building a building too. So it's they're everywhere.
Yeah. Did you say there's a marriage upcoming, or?
Well, they're talking about it, working on it. Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's going to happen here before too long.
If you can't beat them, Bill.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. No, it's like you get on board. Yes.
And I'll ask you about Jeff Bezos next time we meet. How about
Right.
that?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
I haven't met Mr. Bezos yet. But
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no. Right. It's not yet. It's not done.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you the 3 final questions. I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll ask you them in order.
Okay.
What has most surprised you in work? What has most surprised you in life? And then on the soundtrack of your life, Bill Ashton, one
Right.
track, one song that's got to be on there.
Okay.
What has most surprised you in work?
And this has come with age, but the one thing that surprised me most is people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what they're capable of. Like, you take a large group of individuals, you bring them together as a team, and what they're capable of is remarkable. I've had large teams, and there's been points in my past, like I'll go back to 1987, and I remember we were faced with a fall season when I was at Ralph Lauren, and given the expectation, I was thinking, oh, there's no way we're going to execute this. We had consolidated some companies. We were, it'd been a lot of change. I didn't know how we were going to do it, and the team came together and they did it. It's just remarkable what a team can do when they're
With purpose.
Well, certainly with purpose, but yeah, they have to have that passion. And of course, passion's kind of a thing I think that comes with leadership. But it's people always amaze me what they're capable of when they work together as a team.
There you go. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Oh, it always surprises you. Yep.
What's most surprised you in life?
The value of relationships. Yeah. Again, I guess I'm kind of a people person. I tend to be a tad extroverted, so I like to surround myself with people. But in my daily life, if I'm sitting in the office in the morning and I'm kind of bored, I'm a little bit down, I just don't feel well, I have to get up and walk around and go see people.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, people will joke, "Oh, here comes Bill. We're going to talk about something."
Yeah, getting his dose, right?
Exactly. And I feed off their enthusiasm. And of course, they're all the age of my daughter, but yeah, I walk around and talk to people, and of course, they love having the opportunity to talk and have someone listen to them and incorporate their ideas. Because I don't dream a lot of these solutions up. It comes from people, and I just get them all together in the room, and we solve problems, But, yeah, the value of relationships is hard to replace with anything else.
There you go. Still, to this day.
Yes, and the love of a good dog. You always got to throw that in.
Well, that's a relationship too, right?
That's right, yeah.
All right, soundtrack time.
Okay.
On the soundtrack of your life, one track, one song that's got to be on there.
Well, I grew up in the '60s, and looking at me, you probably wouldn't imagine this, but like Led Zeppelin, Whole Lot of Love,
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
I lived it. I was there. I was graduated high school the year that came out. So yeah, that's probably, that speaks to me.
I think that's the first song on Led Zeppelin 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, of course.
There you go.
And I actually have the vinyl.
You're a special man, Bill Ashton. This has been a pleasure.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And there you have Bill Ashton, a true pro. He certainly understands the consumer. He understands logistics. He knows how to get product from point A to point B, but he also knows how to keep that consumer coming back for more. Very much appreciated talking to him. Very much appreciate you listening. Thanks for doing that, and stay tuned.